Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Share, subscribe, like this video, make sure you put your prayer request in the bottom. We have a lot of stuff to touch on, a lot of stuff we got to go over, so sit back and enjoy, people. This might be probably the only video I do today. I've been busy today trying to get things done. The arm started giving me more issues last night, so I was back to putting cold peas on the back, so today I've just been basically icing the shoulder and everything, so this will probably be the only video I get out today, but it's going to be a long one, so sit back and enjoy. All right, first of all, we want to talk about Sister Shelley sent me this article today. Now, a lot of people have been talking about these Russian submarines, and they play a big role in World War III, I'll tell you that much, because that's what we saw. Now, they're tracking at least 11 of these Russian subs that are off the east coast of the United States, and they're watching for these things. So this is something we're keeping our eyes on because we know what's pretty much the outcome of all this stuff when it gets going. Now, somebody had mentioned to Kim about the 4 events I saw that I left one out. And I can't remember her name, but she was right. God did show me 5 events. The reason I don't mention the 5 trumpets is because I don't think it's an event. It was just sandwiched in between seeing San Francisco earthquake, and then I saw the 5 trumpets, and then I saw, 5 trumpets, the rapture, we're gone, World War III, and then the Antichrist here on earth. Now, also, during the newscast that I saw the future events, it was Russian submarines that launched on America from the Eastern or the Atlantic Ocean, exactly where they're tracking these submarines right now. That's where they was launched from, because some of the, I think one of the first ones that was launched towards Boston. So that was the dreams that I had, because I saw the news article. It was so strange when I saw the event. It looked like a news article, like it was scrolling on TV when I saw it, and that's been probably back in 2021. I also saw the rapture for the first time in 2021. And to be honest with you, the first thing I thought of was it was an alien invasion. That was my first thoughts of it. Now that I know better and know what it was, I know that it was the rapture. Now, the news that's coming out today is a lot about Russia. There's a lot of stuff going on, so let's cover it. If I can get the laptop to do what I want it to do, that's always the question. Okay, let's see. Claims of NATO member nations troops already arriving in Ukraine. Now, this is this last 24 hours that we're watching. It says here, reports are coming out of central Ukraine claiming huge numbers of foreign troops that have arrived in the city of Cherzy, Poles, Germans, and France. Let's see, the Poles, Germans, and France, and the French. Locals in the area in Ukraine says the foreign troops are settled on the ground floors of schools and in kindergartens. We would like to point out that the educational process is an educational institution continues on the second and third floors. Parents are worried about their children's lives as attacks are possible even though the foreign troops are hiding behind children. Locals also say there is educational processes at night, which are apparently when the troops go into action. Update. Says the head of the Cherski Regional Military Administration denied as Russian propaganda claims that Polish, German, and French soldiers are stationed in schools and kindergartens. So it's saying they're not. But you would think the parents of those kids would know if these soldiers are there in them schools. So that's something else to think about. We've got all these nations now. Now, we told you that was going to happen. We told you it was coming, that this event would take place, and everybody said it would never happen. And you're never going to see it in the media. You're never going to see it on CNN, Fox, or any other networks. They're going to keep this thing hush. Listen, people. God took a lot and told us a lot of information about what goes on in Ukraine way before it happened. If this, right now, what we're talking about is taking place now, it's not coincidence that everything about the red heifers and that solar eclipse is happening at the same time. It's not coincidence. Listen to me very clearly. Minnie's going to tell you they got plenty of time. I know I keep I keep bugging you guys with it. But I think you guys know what I know. You feel it, don't you? I know I do. It's in the air. This is coming. Everything we said was going to happen is now in its process of happening. NATO troops on the ground in Ukraine is only going to make this way worse. Now, we know the outcome. We know that World War III is coming. There's going to be a nuclear war. Bottom line, it's coming, 100%. The question is, are you on the ark? That is the question. I would advise you to get on the ark if you're not on there, because I'm telling you this, it's not going to stop. Now, here we got more. There's at least 10 Tu-95 missile planes airborne towards Ukraine. At least 10 Russian, these are their big bombers that they have. The Tu-95 missile carrier planes have taken off from bases inside Russia heading towards launch areas typically used for attacking Ukraine. The Tu-95MC strategic missile carrier, NATO conditioned it as called the Bear, was developed as a carrier of long-range strategic air-launched missiles. The aircraft is a modified version of the Tu-95. It is the world's fastest production turboprop missile carrier aircraft, one of the components of the Russian nuclear triad. As of 7 p.m. tonight, at least 10 of these aircraft have taken off from bases inside of Russia. Now, also, these planes that I'm talking about now was seen in our visions over top of America. Not in Central America, but up towards the Northeast, around New York and places like that. That's where they were spotted in the dreams and visions that we've had. One of the components, like I said, that's the Russian nuclear triad. Let's see. Together, the 10 planes have combined capacity of about 60 cruise missiles. Let's see what else we got here. Now counting 14 of them are in the air. Total payload of the planes is 84 cruise missiles. People, this is going to go hot anytime. Now, like I said, when all this stuff goes down, it's going to be a normal, pretty day. Nobody's going to know what happened. Now, closer to the night is when everything starts to go wrong. I don't think we're here. Now, I have not seen us here when all this stuff happens, but like I said, we see these things and we're not sure, okay? Everybody that has seen it knows that the rapture is close to that period, in that time period. So that's why it's important for us to always just keep on our toes with all this stuff that's happening, because things could be different. So we got to pay attention. Let's see. Russia announces 2 new armies, 14 new divisions, 16 new brigades. Now that Putin has got his election over, there's no stopping this now. The only thing keeping it contained, as Lisa Boyce would say at Watchwoman 65, is the restrainer. And it is the only thing keeping this stuff at bay. With his re-election accomplished, like I said, Russian President Vladimir Putin is now getting serious about the harm being done to Russia by the crazed collective West. Defense Minister Shoigu has announced that the creation of 2 new armies for Russia, including 14 new divisions, 10,000, 15,000 troops each, 16 new divisions, 3,000, 5,000 troops each. To put these 2 new armies in perspective, what Russia is now creating above and beyond its the present armed forces is larger than armies of Germany, Britain, France, Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Czech Republic, Croatia, Finland, Sweden combined. What's important, this army that he's talking about, I do believe is the one I've warned you about for 2 years. The one thing that I remember very vividly about what we saw and what I saw is that Russia, with the combined forces of Belarus, come down into Ukraine on the western flank, and they completely take out that nation. It will be fast. It will be like what we called back in Hitler's days as a shock and awe. They're going to come across quick and take the towns without nothing Ukraine can do. Even with the French soldiers, the Poland soldiers there, they're going to get bulldozed. It's going to be quick and fast. But not only that, China has now chimed in saying, hey, any kind of provoking a Russia, China will go to war with those countries. Iran, North Korea is right there with them. Then you add what's happening with Israel. Do you see the formula of what's happening? Now, Lucifer has control of these armies. He's got to get his guy. Understand that. That's the underlining thing I want you to always remember when we read these articles, is that the Antichrist has to have this war. He's got to be able to come in and clean up this mess. That's why the red heifers, God waited 2,000 years to put one down here that they could use. People, it's not coincidence. God is all about timing. Listen to Dr. Barry All. He'll tell you it's all about timing, and God is always on time. I see that there's no coincidences of what I'm reading and what I'm seeing. It's not also coincidence that Passover is coming. None of this stuff is coincidence. We are that close to the end of this world. It's going to happen at any time. Now, most Americans will not see it coming. They just won't. Even in the dreams and visions that we've all had, they are completely caught off guard. They don't believe it can happen to them until it's too late. Now, mentioning that, there's a little article I wanted to go over with you guys. It says here, signs in the heavens, the blue moons and the solar eclipses, the blood moons. I don't know why I got blue at. See, on Monday, March 25th, 2024, the sun, the earth, and the moon will perfectly align, creating a lunar eclipse 2 weeks before the total eclipse goes over the continental U.S. Wynn spoke with Pastor Mark Blitz about these celestial events. Blitz deeply understands the connection between eclipses and the biblical holidays. The scientific explanation of a huge lunar eclipse as it takes place on the Earth passes between the sun and the moon phases through the Earth's shadow. An eclipse occurs when the outer part of the Earth's shadow blankets the moon. About 35% of all the eclipses are that type, which are difficult to detect even with a telescope. Another 30% are partial eclipses, which are easy to see with the eye. The final 35% are total eclipses. In the upcoming lunar eclipse, the Earth's shadow will block out 97% of the moon's surface. The eclipse will be a blood moon, and that's what I saw in my dream, was a blood moon. The result of the atmospheric conditions that give the moon its reddish tint rather than the black when it moves into shadows. The red color comes from the sun, some of the sunlight passing through the Earth's atmosphere, where it gets bent and the colors like blue, green are filtered out, leaving behind longer wavelengths like the color red. While science is clear, Blitz emphasizes that the deeper significance of these phenomena is biblical. And that's true. God put that there for the Jews. From a biblical point of view, an eclipse is meant to be a sign from God, said Blitz, citing Genesis 1:14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament and the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for the signs of the seasons and the days and the years. The number, one reason for an eclipse, is to be a sign, he explained. It's a sign that is beyond man's control, something he cannot manipulate. Pastor Blitz emphasized that the Hebrew calendar must be studied and understand the significance of these calendar signs, which we know pretty well now. Our Gregorian calendar is based upon the sun. The great calendar, very scientific, but it's not the one God uses, he emphasized. God said, let both the sun and the moon determine the times, and we can only have a total lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse on a full moon. What good are eclipses if you're not recognized when they occur? Passover and Sukkot are on full moons, but the Hebrew calendar does not have a solar event. It's adjusted so that the holidays occur in the same season every year. The month begins with a new moon, but the years are adjusted with a leap year. For example, Passover is always the springtime and adjusted through the use of the leap month. Let's see, scholars tell us that there's a time for everything by using a solar calendar. Most of Christianity plucking and planning time and planning and plucking time because they don't know what time it is, Blitz said. They don't know what the season is, and that's very true. We're all lost on these calendars. He explained that the leap month is added 7 times over a 19-year cycle because of the lunar and solar cycles come back together every 19 years. This is also why the solar calendar, you have only one day every 4 years, he said. While lunar eclipses occur an average of every 2 times a year, Blitz explained that when the fall of the biblical holidays, they are significant. The convergence is what Blitz refers to as the blood moon tetrad, a phenomenon he first identified in 2008. And we watched those things also. His blood moon prophecy is based on a series of consecutive total lunar eclipses coinciding with Jewish holidays and 6 full moons, and between them are 2 partial lunar eclipses. The series is referred to as a tetrad. The most recent tetrad, beginning in the total eclipses, it was April 15, 2014. It's also the year Russia started going into Ukraine. Making the second night of Sukkot. The third lunar eclipse was on April 4th, 2015. The second night of the Pesach, as the fourth occurred on September 28, 2015, the second night of Sukkot. NASA declares you can mathematically only have one total lunar eclipse every year, but there were 4 lunar eclipses in a year and a half. This is like hitting the lottery. No, it's like a ticking clock showing us that we're out of time. Indeed, in the past 2,000 years, a blood moon tetrad, 4 sequencing lunar eclipses with no partial eclipses in between, has occurred on the Jewish holidays of Passover, Sukkot, only 8 times, most recently in 2014, 2015. However, the tetrad in 2014 was the second of 8 tetrads to take place during the 21st century. This is remarkable, as the past millennium, only 4 documented tetrads have occurred around the Jewish holiday of Passover and Sukkot. That's why we got to pay attention. And each one of them followed by a major event that shifted Jewish and global history. Those tetrads occurred in the years 1428, 1429, 1493, 1494, 1490, what am I doing? See, 1949, 1950 was the Jewish, also what we call the fig tree generation. In 1967, 1968, we all know what happened there too. For instance, the tetrad in 1428 and 29 marked the end of the big wave forced conversations for the Jews in Spain. The tetrad in 1943, 1494 signaled the end of the Spanish Inquisition, which occurred with the expulsion of the Jews from Spain in 1492. There was also a blood moon tetrad in 1949-1950, corresponding with the creation of Israel as a nation. 1967, 1968, the unification of Jerusalem occurred in 1967. The notable exception with the blood moon tetrad was occurred 2014-15. No major world significance event happened that year. I'd like to differ. It was leading us to the Revelation 12 sign. I was trying to figure out what it was, but on October 7th, it showed me the tetrad meant. Pastor Blitz said the 1967-68 tetrad of blood moons was 7-year warning for the Yom Kippur War in 1973. Yom Kippur in 1073 was the first day of the Jubilee year, and the 2014-15 protective edge incursion into Gaza and the blood moon that accompanied it were 7 years before the October 7th. So everything works in sevens when it comes to God. In the very last day, in the same 50-year Jubilee, the last Jubilee cycle was bookend with wars and blood moons. That was definitely in the last meter cycle too. He emphasized that not only the total eclipses travel North America on Monday, March 8, 2024, but it's also followed by an almost blood moon tetrad. The first eclipse will be partial lunar eclipse, Blitz said, but then there will be 3 total eclipses in a row. There are 4 lunar eclipses in a row, which is phenomenal, but 3 are total. But they are happening on feast 2 years in a row, Blitz said. This should be a wake-up call for Israel. The first lunar eclipse on March 25th will coincide with the Jewish holiday of Purim. Blitz noted that it's fitting that the moon should be eclipsed on Purim, and Esher literally means hidden. Purim is not in the Torah, but it's important for the Jews because the story of Esher is more the dangers of something no one knew. Esher was Jewish. The Jews wanted to basically assassinate him evidently, but God miraculously delivered them. The Jews have enemies, but they have to fight with the I can't read that, whatever it says as well. Pastor Blitz referred to the Talmud as it's the discussion of eclipses, Sukkot 29a, which specifically describes solar eclipses as being a bad omen for the nations who had based their calendars on a solar cycle. Note that since the United States became a nation in 1776, only eight total solar eclipses have completely crossed the continent. And when did they occur? Blitz said. The Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and the Vietnam War were all measured by these. He remarked the upcoming total solar eclipse that will cross the border of Canada, passing over a city called Economy in the end. Now, what did God tell us? That the economy will lead to World War III. I think this is a warning to go and see the economy tragedy coming to the whole world, Blitz said. It will begin in the United States, but it will reverberate through the whole world. And that's exactly what will happen. The next blood moon tetrad this fall and biblical feast will not take place for another 500 years. That's why we got to keep our eyes open and pay attention to what's happening. So now we give you a rundown of all this stuff that's taking place with the tetrads, the blood moons, and everything. This solar eclipse is a big deal, a very, very big deal. We have to be prepared to get people on that ark before it's too late. Listen, I don't think we're going to be here much longer. I know you guys as well as you all feel it. It's not just these eclipses, but there's just so many signs and so many birth pains taking place around the world. We just don't have that much more time. So, we're all just trying to scramble to try to get out as much material as we can to try to draw in stragglers that may not be saved. Because really, we're down to the wire. Trust the gospel. 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4. Jesus died on the cross for our sins, past, present, future. He died and was buried and rose again on the third day according to the scriptures. If you're lost out there, trust the blood of Jesus. He died on the cross for you. All you got to do is accept him. That's all you got to do. He's calling out for you. Give him a chance, I'm telling you. Because I'm telling you, the time is running out here. You're not promised tomorrow. None of us are. This might be the last time you ever see me. I know one thing. I appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. I know I don't tell you enough, but without you guys, I don't know what I'd do and what I would have had done after losing my family. You guys brought me in and you took care of me. You didn't have to. I was somebody you didn't know. But you kept coming back to the channel, listening to what I had to say. And I've tried my best to just try to reach out to people. I love people. Even if people can't stand me, I still love them. I was always different. I was always a very caring person, and I just love people in general. Even the ones that was mean to me, I still cared about them. I just could not shut people out like most people could. Don't have an anger issue at all. I've always been a very nice person. I take care of the elderly. I love children. That's just the way I am. I was always different, always wanting to help people, always wanting to spread the gospel around the world, whatever way I could. Not because it works. It's because I just let Jesus use me because he's always been good to me. When nobody else had me or wanted anything to do with me, he always did. So I've never forgotten it. And I promise you out there, those that are listening, that don't know him, best friend you ever had. He'll never leave you when everybody else puts you down or leaves you behind. He will never do that. God bless each and every one of you. Like I said, it was probably the only video I get out today because I got to get in bed tonight early. And then tomorrow's going to be another busy day, so I will try to get out 2 videos tomorrow. I just wanted to make sure that we got enough information out because there's a lot of stories came out today. I just not been able to swing to get the videos done. There's just no way with the arm. I've had ice packs on it all day. That's all I've done. Like I said, it's done good the last couple of days. Not had an issue with it. But then just all of a sudden last night, it started acting up on me again. I think I slept on it. wrong again. I think that's what keeps aggravating it. So I've been trying to secure myself to where I sleep, to where I don't roll over in the arm. So I'm trying my best to do better. Trust me, I've been doing these programs in the worst pain you could ever imagine. It's easier when I stand up. It's worse when I sit down. So God's been with me, and thank God for all your all's prayers getting me through it, because I'm telling you, I've been in tremendous pain. Thank all of you all that bought the super stickers and those who bought me coffees. All of you guys, thank you for all your support. Thank you once again for just bringing me into your household and listening to an old country boy that just loves Jesus and don't want to see people left behind. Some people call me arrogant. Now, when it comes to loving Jesus, I am very arrogant. I will say that. I'm very stubborn, but I don't want to see people left behind. That's why I make sure every day, no matter how bad I feel, I'm on here trying to make at least an effort that maybe somebody out there that don't know Jesus will give their life to him, and then we'll find a way. Because truly, when I tell you I don't want nobody left here, I don't want any of you left here. You guys are my family. You don't know me, but you're my family. And I promise you for eternity, anything you ever need. When we get to heaven, all you got to do is look me up. I'm always going to be there. I love each and every one of you. If I don't see or hear from you again, I'll see you in heaven.